you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools.
Welcome to the She's So Right Show. We are two conservative women called by Christ to speak up for what's right.
Lindsey Graham, known nationally as the Patriot Barbie, is a proud author, public speaker, and brave political advocate for freedoms, rights, and conservative values.
Brandy Barkley is a powerful Christian leader and founder of Power Soul, certified Christian life coach and public speaker, forging God's battle cry to strengthen believers.
Guys, get ready to say it way more than you're used to. She's So Right starts now.
Freedom fighters, are you tired of giving your hard-earned money to big corporations who use their power against us? We are done. As conservatives, the best and most effective way to vote is with our dollars. You can shop with all our favorite companies, sponsors, and affiliates right on our website.
Go to www.shesorightshow.com and click the shop page. We are proud affiliates for MyPillow, My Patriot Supply, and other conservative brands. Get massive savings. Go to shesorightshow.com. Join us in supporting American companies.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the She's So Right Show. We have a very cooperative guest today. Tommy Vext.
Very helpful.
Oh my gosh. Our original guest, Tommy's not scheduled for a few weeks, and our original guest is a singer also, but woke up with no voice. So I'm like, hey, Tommy, I hope you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
Good morning.
we need someone with a voice, and we need them now.
So, Tommy, this is awesome because typically we do so much research and we ask you for all this information and what do you want to talk about and what points do you want to make and what are your socials, and we email this.
We have none of that.
Yeah. So we don't. Hi, who are you?
Yeah, we're winging it big time.
This is what we call in punk rock throw and go.
Ah.
You show up to the venue and nothing works, then you just put all the gear up there and then open the doors and you play. And then usually those are the best shows because everything that you planned didn't happen and it becomes really organic. And I think sometimes these are the best conversations. So also, I've never been called cooperative in literally my entire life. So
you're welcome for that.
I'm going to text my mom that.
Oh, that's funny.
That I was cooperative.
It wasn't the best choice word at the moment, but I was like, oh, I'm on the spot.
Well, you look, I will just say, because I don't know you, I know of you. I think we have a lot of mutual friends, but you look like a rebel. You look a little rascally.
Was it the teardrop tattoo that got you?
Look a little rascally, and we're all down with rascals, especially ones that speak up for what's right. So tell us, Tommy, just give us in a nutshell your story for our listeners, who you are and why the heck now you're on the front lines with President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, so basically, so I'm the former lead singer of a band called Bad Wolves. We had, in 2018, I was the primary hit songwriter there. We actually, my producer and I wrote about, together, me and my two producers wrote, I think we have 6 number one hits with that band. And, you know, one of the songs that we did was a cover of the Cranberry song Zombie. And, you know, that song was very, I actually recorded the song. I re-recorded the song after I had recorded it in 2016, and I re-recorded it again after the Vegas shooting. And it just, you know, I just kind of was in a solemn place just with a lot of the things that have been going on, even back in 2016 and 2017. And I lived in Vegas during that time, and I had 2 friends who were actually, they survived, but they were a part of the shooting and stuff. And so it was just kind of weighing on me, and I wound up recording it. And then in 2017, I was hired to go on tour with Five Finger Death Punch, and I originally went out as a sober coach. And so I've been sober for 13 years, and
Congrats.
I got sober in 2009. Yeah, I actually in 2 days I turned 13 years sober. It's my anniversary in 2 days.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Yeah.
Was there something?
awesome.
Was there something that triggered your need to get sober, or was it?
Oh
just...
yeah. I mean, I my sobriety story is like a whole other story.
Are you gonna write a book?
We can get into, but yeah, I have a book. I wrote a biography. It's not out yet. It's actually I co-wrote a book with Riley Perez, who I met through Rob Weiss, who does Ballers and Entourage and American Psycho and stuff. And I actually met those guys speaking at a recovery thing. And they were in attendance, and then they wrote, "This is a movie." So,
that's cool.
So yeah. So anyway, there are many aspects to like the life and times of Tommy Vext. But anyway,
we have 1 hour.
The way that I kind of came to be popular in the public eye is that, for one, I was supposed to sober coach this band, Five Finger Death Punch. The singer couldn't stay sober. He kept kind of sneaking off and getting drunk. He ultimately had to go into inpatient. He couldn't continue to tour. He was in bad shape. And so the band finally just asked if I would finish singing for them on the tour in Austria one day. We were traveling all over the world together, and I said yes. And then I became famous overnight, and it was bizarre. And I finished out their European tour, and then all of a sudden I had like tens of thousands of followers on all my platforms. And, my old records I had done were starting to resell, and
oh my gosh,
then record labels were taking notice, and I had 2 bands at the time, and then the band got jealous, and then so they tried to replace me, and I gave them the name. They paid me they bought the name of that band from me because I had owned it.
You're talking about Bad Wolves, right?
No, this is a previous band called Westville Massacre.
Oh,
yeah, we had only done. The way that I kind of do things is that I finance my recordings, and then I put backup bands together. And then people in backup bands think that they own the company. They don't actually understand. And this has happened twice.
Oh,
so
man.
In Westville Massacre, the guys wanted to, basically they didn't really understand what was going on. And I think that they thought I was going to be the permanent singer of Five Finger Death Punch. So in a desperate scramble, they tried to get the name. And I was like, you guys can have it. We just have a bill. There's like a $20,000 bill you guys got to pay for like all these music videos I fronted.
Right.
So they basically bought it from me for a cost. And then I had already had a record deal lined up. So I gave the record deal to the other band I was in, which is Bad Wolves. And same thing. Like, me and the drummer started a corporation. He wrote half the songs. I wrote half the other songs. And when I was on tour I went back on tour with Five Finger, and I met this guy, Dan, who worked at the record label in England, and he grew up with Dolores from the Cranberries. And we were talking about spirituality and meditation and God, and he had mentioned that he heard the demo. Someone had slipped him a demo of the Cranberry song, and he asked why it wasn't going to be on the record. And I said, well, because the band doesn't want to cover on the record, and I also don't know if it's good enough, and I'm like, I'm a huge Cranberries fan, so it's kind of nerve-wracking to cover somebody that was influential in in my childhood as an artist.
The pressure.
Yeah, so he sent it to her.
Oh, wow.
And then I flew home, and a couple days later, I got a call from Dolores, like a voice message, and she was like, the track is killer, and she wanted to sing on it.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's amazing.
I can't even be in one band. You've got like 5 clawing at you.
We're trying to keep our band together right now, like our little 2-person band over here. It's very.
I'm the lead.
Well, you got. Well,
she thinks so.
Having a band is like having kids. So
oh my gosh!
I don't have kids. I have band members, and you got to like kind of pick up after them and clean up after them, and they're like, they're like children. They're like, especially musicians.
And you're sober. And you're sober.
Well, especially like you said, our musicians, or just as any kind of artist, there's passion and creativity, and people have their own ideas. And so, especially artists in business, it's kind of, I can see why so many bands break up. It's when you've got a creative process and you have a vision and somebody else does, and you're in it together, it's really hard.
She's referring to me.
Yeah, and it's also principles and stuff like that. We'll get into all that, but the long story short is Dolores flew to London. She was going to sing on the song. She died the night before.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh!
And I didn't want to release the song, and the label was like, "We have to put it out," and I didn't want to make money off this situation, so I allocated all of my royalty checks to a trust fund for her children. So her 4 children.
Jeez.
You're not just a rock star. You're an angel.
Wow.
Yeah, I gave away millions and millions of dollars from that song to her kids forever.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
That's
yeah.
rad.
So every time that song gets played, or anytime it's in a movie, or anytime anything, the kids get the money. Like that's
okay.
it.
Well,
and so
I'm donating a lot because I have that song. I'm not even a Bad Wolves fan. That just I don't know where I heard it, but it's on my phone. It's been downloaded. My kids have it memorized. I like it better than the original.
Like,
so
that's a cool thing though. Is like there was and that's where like kind of God comes into things. Is like the whole situation was, if you ask me, I was a selfish drug addict, right? Like and I got sober and this is the reason why sometimes like God comes into our lives and then puts us in positions where we have to be of service. And it's almost like I wanted to be a rock star for so long. And then when I became like a counselor and I got sober and I started seeing the miracle of sobriety in other people's lives, I started to have value in my life of what was really important. And then none of that kind of surface level stuff mattered anymore. And that's when God delivered the big shiny stuff, was when I didn't want it anymore, because I had realized what was important.
That's awesome.
And because he put me in a position to have influence and to have power to a degree, I was able to do good things with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a real testimony, not just to recovery, but whenever we try to align our lives and our will with God's will for us, miracles happen, not just for us, but countless others. And it talks about that in the recovery literature. So
that's so amazing.
I think that was one of the first. Yeah, that was one of the first big ones. And the song wound up going like number 1 in 28 countries. It's platinum in I think 8 countries. It's double platinum in certain countries. It's gold in a bunch of countries. So all of a sudden we were like really famous overnight.
Yeah.
And I was the face of the band, and
that's such a great testimony.
I'm covered in tattoos, and I lift weights, and like the rest of the guys in my band are kind of like, they just look like they are in a bowling league.
The new band.
No, not to rip on them.
No, they need shirts. You got to get them shirts.
They're just a bunch of 40-year-old dudes who drink beer, and like they're just dudes. You know what I mean? Like,
Tommy, can I just tell you, we got to go to a break, but I really relate with this whole idea of just complete submission and finding your purpose. And when you see other people's lives changing, how incredibly fulfilling that is, and a lot of other things you just don't need as much. So we'll be right back. You're listening to the She's So Right Show. Hey guys, you're listening to Brandy Barclay and Lindsey Graham of the She's So Right Show with our special guest. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited now because now I know who the heck we're talking to. Tommy Vext. And man, I know, I guess
we're not listening.
I just have never listened to Five Finger Death Punch.
It sounds naughty. Like just saying it.
But I will say this. I did grow up listening to the Cranberries, and my sister laid on our bedroom floor with a cassette tape, rewinding it over and over and over. Back then, that's what you had to do to learn lyrics, and I want to kill her.
Tommy,
so I listened to the Cranberries a lot. So.
We were supposed to be interviewing a Dove-winning Christian female music artist today. So Brandy and I were like, let's get in the spirit.
So I was gearing up with my Christian music, which I desperately needed because it was one of those mornings. And then I'm like, oh. No.
I told her no less than 2 hours before recording. I said, I'm bringing a camera. We're going on camera. And she's like, okay, well, I got to go get in the shower.
Yeah, I have to get ready now.
So, but Tommy, so like, I don't know, you've got a God story that's pretty recent, right? Didn't you just go to church in California to one of the big Calvary chapels, and you posted a photo with everyone laying hands on you with David J. Harris Jr. And did you get saved?
That was at Elevate Life Church in Frisco, Texas, which is north of Dallas.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, I went on this spiritual journey of forgiveness. I basically went on a resentment purge. Because I got, we'll kind of would get to me getting canceled. And then I needed to, I was like so resentment is like cancer, and it proliferates, you know, and it actually metaphysically destroys your cells. It's not, you know, it makes you sick. It's a thief of joy, and it's really like me being in a place of you know, wanting revenge or wrath or bad things for other people. It's a slippery slope, and you know, I find that sometimes these very dark thoughts that get whispered to us, they're not our own. And I felt like I was in such a polarized state of what my normal, you know, what I'm normally, you know, used to being in. I felt like I had to pray for everybody who did me wrong. And I mean, I was really done dirty. And I just had to kind of accept these people. And, you know, I come from kind of like I come from a rough background. Like I definitely grew up with murderers and drug dealers and gang members and
Where did you grow up, Tommy? Where'd you grow up?
In South Brooklyn.
Okay.
So yeah, like my twin brothers, for example, my twin brother is doing 20 years in prison for attempted murder. But he actually tried to kill me. And so this is like something that happened in 2010. But yeah, so like I'm trying to be in chronological order here with all the things
wait a minute. Hold on. You can't leave me. Wait. As a listener, you can't leave me there. Your brother tried to kill you?
Okay, so I'm going to bridge the gap here. Okay, all right. So Bad Wolves comes out with Zombie. The song's a hit. We're flying all over the world to radio stations. I'm playing this. We go to Ireland. You know, we played on their version of Saturday Night Live. The song went number one in that country. I mean, the song's massive. It's everywhere. And now everyone's worried we have a one-hit wonder problem. And the label's like, what's the second single going to be? And I said, hey, I have this song called Remember When that I co-wrote with a producer named Drew Folk. And they're like, what's the song about? And I was like, well, in 2010, my twin brother was high on PCP and tried to murder me, but after he broke into my apartment. And they're like, what? So basically, you know, in September 20th of 2010, I came home. I had moved back to New York City after I was 1 year sober to try to reconnect with my mom and my sister. And you know, my father is an alcoholic and my brother is a drug addict, and they hadn't had a sober man in the family in over a decade. And so I moved home as a living amends to try to like have a relationship with them. And my brother was on like a drug bender, and my brother got involved in organized crime. He was a drug dealer. You know, he did other nefarious deeds for not good people. But he must have hit rock bottom, and he had broken into the house, and he hit me from behind with a crowbar, fractured my skull.
Oh, gosh.
I fought him. Then he broke my arm. I continued to fight with him in the street. I got him into the street, and then I realized, like, I saw that I was, like, bleeding out, and so I ran to my neighbors and collapsed. And, you know, I got rushed to the hospital. You know, a couple days later, my spleen had exploded.
Oh my
gosh. My spleen was perforated from the injury, but they didn't diagnose it, so they discharged me. And a few days later, I collapsed from the internal bleeding.
Oh my gosh!
And I literally died. And so, you know, I had a near-death experience, and it was. I've never read or watched any movies or anything about it until after. Which is really strange because there's thousands of accounts of people who have had this similar situation, and what I experienced is indescribable for the most part. But I definitely saw. I didn't see God. You can feel God, and I definitely, you know, I flatlined, I guess, before I got to the operating table. And I had like a white light experience. And so I went through like a tunnel, and then I went into this place, and there weren't people. There were other consciousness beings, right?
Yeah.
But I knew everyone.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those dreams where you know who's in the room, but you can't really see them. Yeah.
No, like you could see it. Everyone communicates through telepathy. And basically, the way that I recall it is that
that's like creepy, like so
being
cool.
alive. Well, yeah, like we're eternal, and so being alive is like taking a nap. So when I died, I remember distinctly feeling like I woke up and I was like, oh yeah, like I had like already forgot that I had a whole life.
Oh my gosh,
like,
how weird.
Okay, that's so amazing because I just read something that referred to scripture that says that when we die and go to heaven, we can't remember earth. We'll recognize relationships and people we loved, but we will not remember like our time here.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
And so interesting how you describe earth as being a nap, and like your real life, you become awake when you die and go to heaven. What a cool what cool imagery that is to share.
Well, and then all the people that were there, I've known them for thousands of years. So like thousands.
Oh my gosh.
It's not the real truth of everything.
So cool.
When I died, I just kind of like, I mean, what happens when you get to the white place, wherever that is?
The white place.
You feel like
it's very racist of you, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Do not apologize to her.
Do
not.
White lights matter.
White light matters.
Oh my God.
That's
what I'm titling this
hilarious.
show. That's what I'm titling this show.
So anyway, but I felt like a love that is more than any love I've ever felt in my life. Like it's beyond any human comprehension. There's no anxiousness, no fear. There's only knowing. You don't even have thought. You just know everything.
Man,
so amazing.
So good. Tommy, we're going to be right back.
We're going to talk about Trump when you get back. One of my favorite subjects. You guys are listening to the She's So Right Show. Follow us on Instagram at She's So Right Show. Be right back.
Welcome back. You're listening to the She's So Right Show. We have Tommy Vext, and we are getting right into this because I am enamored by this story. Chapter 3.
We're talking less than we've ever talked.
I know.
His stories are much funnier than ours.
Lindsay is actually listening. It's like fantastic. I don't know what's happening right now.
My brother didn't try to kill me.
I haven't even had... Talk about sobriety. I didn't even have to do a drink yet.
Oh, you not normally listen?
No, usually I love to hear myself talk, and Brandy interrupts me, and I interrupt her. And sometimes our guests are like, we're like, all right, wrap it up. That story's boring. But here I'm like, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah.
I've never been to heaven.
We're not supposed to talk. So go ahead. Chapter 3, we're all ears.
Chapter 3, Tommy Vext. Go.
Okay, so I died, and they said I wasn't done, and they sent me back.
Who's they? Who's they?
The spirits, the people that
The
he's
little.
Wait
Wait a minute. Now she's talking for you. Did you hear that? The little spirits. Okay, no. Who was they?
Like the people that came to greet me on the other side.
See, the little beings.
Why are they little?
They weren't. No, they weren't.
Why are they little?
They definitely weren't little. Yeah, they definitely weren't little. It was
Okay.
some next level stuff. So they sent me back, and then I fell into my hospital room, and then I literally went back into my body, and it felt like somebody was holding me underwater, and then finally let me up, and I sat up and took a deep breath, and I was like, yo, and my nurse, I thought I was dead in a casket, and I thought they made a mistake, because my nurse was my high school girlfriend's best friend, who I hadn't seen in 15 years.
Oh my
So
gosh. Your high school
Girlfriend's sister.
girlfriend's best friend's sister.
Yeah. Well, no, just the high school girlfriend's best friend.
High school girlfriend's best friend. That's so weird. Of all the people.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think God put her in that room for a reason? Was there anything that came of that besides what's up, girl?
No, but there was a guy who I never met before, who was waiting in my room, and he was like, "Hey, man, I'm from AA, and I've been waiting for you to wake up." I was like, "What?"
What?
So so God definitely sent this guy, and his name was George, and he became my sponsor. So I switched sponsors when I was in New York after that, because I needed somebody to be close.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys brought me, they brought me meetings pretty much every day that I was in the hospital till I could walk again.
How long did you not walk?
I think I was in for like 2 weeks. I was immobile, and then I had my friend Mia. Her dad is Steven Tyler, and she told her dad what happened to me, and they said, well, let's bring him home to recover, because the police were still looking for my brother, and it wasn't safe for me to go home. So I wound up recovering from my surgery at Steven Tyler's house.
Oh, stop it.
Okay, let him know.
Yeah.
If I
This
have a
sounds like my
surgery.
life right now.
Oh, but you Brandy's friends with Mel Gibson now, so she's like, "Oh, I'm an A-lister."
Yeah, I just had lunch with Gene Simmons. Whatever.
I'm friends with Tommy Vext, so I have my picture with him.
So hold on. This is crazy cool town. So were you sober before this happened, or did you? What I mean?
Yeah, I was over a year sober.
Oh,
when this
okay.
happened. I was about, I think, 15 months sober.
But they were probably concerned because of painkillers and all that kind of stuff, huh? Like, does that?
Yeah. So basically, I let Mia. She had all my meds, and then she would give them to me as prescribed.
Good.
And, and also Steven is sober too. So it's like all these people who are like kind of in recovery just like reached out and helped, and it was just like,
how cool.
So amazing.
They say God will constantly do for us what we cannot do for ourselves.
Yep.
So it was gnarly, and my brother was they didn't find him for a while, and then he put a contract on me to kill me.
Oh my God.
So I had to go into witness protection for 11 months, and then the guy who was hired to kill me got murdered, and then my brother got found. And then I had to testify against him, and it was terrible. I was like, basically like flew to California and Florida, and I was hiding out, living off like $300 a month of government assistance, waiting for them to find my brother.
Oh, so sad. So much trauma involved in that. The betrayal.
Yeah,
I
and
would
so
imagine.
Right. So when you said that you had to do this resentment purge, was that part of that?
No, to be honest, I went through this this happened in 2010 and 11 and 12. So I did the work on my brother, years ago. And again, so now fast forward, this whole scenario becomes a song called Remember When. And we got Wayne Isham to shoot the video in 2018. And the song literally is me reliving my childhood with my brother. We had twins at different ages, like sets of twins acting as out our childhood, and my family was represented, and like my murder and the testifying and all that. And so,
I don't know if you noticed, but I got vetoed on talking about Trump. So we'll see if we get there.
Yeah, we'll get down to that.
Your stories are all amazing. So I'll just say Trump at the end of the radio.
Go Trump.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the She's So Right show. We are done bickering, and Tommy's going to inspire us all with not stories of his brother trying to kill him.
No, he's gonna. This is
all for
chapter
a reason.
4.
This is God,
and it's all leading. I mean, where your life has looked like you. I bet. I'm just betting that you never thought you'd be doing what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
What do you mean, talking to you guys on the phone?
Oh, yeah. We're like...
Yeah, I mean, I bet you've been pining away
it's like
watching us on Instagram.
Wait, he's about to say something amazing about us. It's like a what?
It's so crazy how it's all come to this.
He's like, I'm on the She's So Right show with Brandy and Lindsay. I don't know how it gets any better.
Right.
No, I'm talking about getting political.
I mean, as a rock star.
Out of the world.
So all this stuff goes on, right? So then the next song goes number 1. People hear the song, it becomes this crazy thing. I'm doing meet and greets. I'm like helping people. I'm going on tour. I'm meeting with people. I'm doing all these free meetings, talking to people about stuff, doing sober stuff. It's great. The band puts out the second record. Second record is the number 2 record in the country behind Kanye West. And we're playing arena tours. We're touring all over. It's crazy. We're touring all over the world. We're doing 200 shows a year. And then in 2020, I went through a breakup. I dated this model who has mental health problems, and she was drinking and doing pills, and it got to the point where she was violent, and I left her. And then literally 2 weeks later, we went into lockdown, right? So
Geez.
like most people, like everybody, I'm kind of suspicious of everything. I'm just in general, I think probably because I have a deep connection with God. I don't trust things that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm. That's
normal.
It's called wisdom.
Yeah, that's normal.
And because of the position that I'm in as an artist, and I've also been, since my first album was called Disobey, right? The first song on the album is called Officer Down, and it's attacking, I attack the media in that song, and all of my lyrics have been always political, right? There's songs called The Conversation, there's a song called I'll Be There. We talked about Trump in the song. Nobody really got it. No one understood. Like, it wasn't new for me. I just never really voiced my opinions on things because I lived in LA, and I remember when Trump beat Hillary Clinton, and my friends were hysterical crying. These white women were like, "Oh my God!"
White women, I love it. That is your typical liberal.
They're like white liberal chicks, and they're like, "Oh, this is the worst thing that America's ever done." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I voted for this dude, but I didn't. You know what I mean? I was just like, so I had my secret friends back then, who we knew what was up. And so during 2020, it just became very obvious. I wound up making friends with Dr. Rashid Buttar. I was put in touch with several virologists and immunologists who all now have come forward on either Joe Rogan or these big podcast platforms 2 years later. But I was getting information from people as it was going on, and I was talking about it. And, I also knew a lot about Black Lives Matter. 2 years ago, I made a marker video after the George Floyd riots. I cleaned up the George Floyd riots. I went and spent thousands of dollars on garbage bags and brooms, and me and the bodybuilders and the athletes at Gold's Gym went down to downtown Santa Monica for hours and cleaned up the broken glass and garbage.
Wow.
Right? So
where's the environmentalists when you need them?
Right.
Well, they never show you masculinity. They're not going to show you all the firemen, all these big men coming in and cleaning up the mess. Yeah, because that's what men do.
Oh, I love it.
And living in LA, it disgusts me how disgracefully, pathetically feeble and weak the culture is there, and the men there. Like there's a shortage of real men in general in any of these liberal cities because you don't want to live there. And so I was pissed, and then I started to investigate BLM, and I found out, like most other people did, that the corporation was separate from what the movement was supposed to be, and they were taking the donations, and the donations went to a company called Act Blue, which was owned by the Democratic Party. So they funded Joe Biden's campaign with the money from the George Floyd donations. So I exposed this, and with a marker video, it got 37 million views in 4 days, and that's when I began to get canceled.
Oh, yep, absolutely.
So they started deleting my stuff, and then the liberal news, rock media, who are like just all tried to come after me and talk. And when I say the word people, I mean heterosexual men who hate women and can't do a push-up. That's what I mean, for clarification.
I wonder how much
and the
bleeping.
problem is that the entertainment industry is riddled with these feeble, pathetic disgraces. And we've allowed this. We've allowed this in our culture, in our society. We've said that this is acceptable to me. And so the more that they push back, the more that they talk about me, I dox people. I dox journalists. I was like, oh, cool. Like, I have a bigger reach than you do. You're going to talk about me? I'm like, hey, this is where Billy lives. I'm like, this is where he goes to work. This is his phone number.
Fighting fire with fire, which I think that on the conservative side, we have a hard time with that. I think that there's, I think that there's like this moral, like a line, right? It's like, okay, so.
But here's the thing, that some of us used to be gangsters. So when you
and you still are.
with somebody,
Yeah.
when you try to, like, whether or not, like, I'm not going to go, blow somebody's brains out.
You better stop using
not
that
gonna go
word. This is going on the radio, and you're
I'm
going to
not
get
gonna
bleeped.
Yeah, I'm not going to go do something like that, but, like, I'll clown people. And I did, and I embarrassed a lot of people.
Well,
And, and then I voted for Trump, and basically I got canceled, and then I had like my ex came back around with all the negative press.
Oh, trying to expose you. Yep.
She tried to extort me for $100,000. She filed a report saying I abused her. I beat her in court 2 times. I was exonerated of any domestic violence, but the media took her story and they ran the accusations and not what actually happened.
Yep.
Right. So they tried to expose, but she didn't try to expose. She lied.
Well, yeah, and the media
extort him.
Yep, and they do what they do is they take a headline and they run with it and they can twist it and make it look however they want. And you are convicted by your peers already, by the media, not in actual court.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing that happened to Johnny Depp, except like I didn't. Basically, I just filed an appeal for that. That's a 2-year-old case, and now I'm suing her.
Okay.
So I haven't really announced that. I haven't talked about it yet until we go into court. But I filed an appeal, and there's going to be lawsuits because you can't do this. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And she has a history of doing this. She's done this to 2 other people.
And I do think charges should be filed when somebody is lying about you, and it can ruin your entire livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's not just charges. You should just have to pay.
Yeah, there should be consequences.
I'm probably down about $10 million from all this, and I should be compensated.
Well, yeah, and it's not fair that their side, and I mean the crazy leftist side, they think they can cancel people, dox people, do whatever they want, say whatever they want, print whatever they want about us, and because we're kind of the nicer side and we're the more passive and we're actually the more agreeable side, we just sit back and take it. I don't think that that's fair. I think that we should be taking all of these people to court, and there should be consequences for what they've done.
I don't think going to court is going to matter. I think that, listen, if all these journalists have addresses and names, even the ones that go under pseudonym, I have friends who work at the Pentagon. I have friends who work at the FBI. I can find any person, anytime, anywhere for the right price. So I did that. I paid good money to find out where all these people live, everything about them. I have their credit reports. I have literally,
Is that against the law?
I don't care about the law.
Oh, he's a real rebel. We might want to bleep
that
out.
Yeah. So but what was the point of doing that?
The point of doing it is because they're doing it too. So the only time that basically these people will do this, an abusive person will abuse you until you have the ability to do to them what they're doing to you.
Push back.
That's literally all it is. And then I got into a lawsuit. I sued my former bandmates and record label because they tried to wrongfully terminate me. We wound up settling out of court,
This is
and everything's fine now. And I got let out of my contract, and I got all my masters back, and we're all good. And they got a new singer. And
okay, so now you're the lone. Now you're the lone wolf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this is the problem is that how the liberals use the media to weaponize and defame us.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody said I had a big shot say that I was a QAnon conspiracy theorist and this, that, and the other. So I did a background check on them, and then I posted all of their assault charges over the years of their lives, lawsuits against them, everything they've ever done legally, and put it on blast for 300,000 people.
Wow. And did they shut up after that?
Yeah.
Good. See?
That was it.
You shut them up. You did everybody a favor. They're going to think twice now before they try to do what they do to us, what they did to you, to other people.
Well, my thought is, can they come back at you with a defamation suit?
No.
Okay. Because it's public.
Everything I posted
was public.
The lawsuit is public record.
It's all public record, right?
Yeah.
Everything's public record. So that's basically what they do to avoid defamation. is they'll sue you. They'll file a lawsuit against you, and then put the headlines they want in the lawsuit, and then hand it over to the media. Pay the media $20,000 and say, run this story.
Yep.
I mean, it is an act of war. You know, when I always think of this, like pops in my head, crazies on the left and wimps to the right. And basically you're saying, you know what, if they're going to be crazy and come after me and try to do this to me, why can't I stand up for myself? Why can't I say, you know, this is public record. Why don't I blast your name?
It's a war. Listen, this is the thing. You know, we have too many new millennial Christians. We need the conquistadors. We need the Christians who murder for Christ. And we're not in a civilization where we're going to get on horses and cut everyone's heads off, but we're fighting a more civilized, more intellectual battle, and it's a battle over people's minds. And our weapon is the truth.
Interesting that you just said that.
We don't have to. I have nothing to hide. You have to make things up about me to defame me, and they're not substantiated. You can't even substantiate them. Look at what they did to Trump. Basically, this all boils down to what the media did to Trump. They showed all the liberals what to do to their enemies, and it's also Freemason.
But yeah, you're right. You know what? It's a battle. It's a battle over the people's minds. And when you have mass media with the propaganda night and day, what they did to Trump, what they're doing to anyone that is conservative, just shutting them down, threatening them. I mean, Linz knows.
Look what they go after. They went after me, and they're like, oh, this guy's he's sober. He's donated millions of dollars to charities. He's donated tens of thousands of dollars to wounded police officers. You know what I mean?
But let's blast him for the things that we believe. He can do all these amazing things. And Tommy, we're going to run out of time. They
try to make up stuff, and so this was the battle that we have to fight. Yep. And we can do another episode, and I'll get
because I have visions in my head of sugar plums and gladiators because of you.
And on his Instagram, if you guys, because he got blasted, it's free Tommy Vext. There's a lot of fake ones, but it's just free Tommy Vext. Tommy, thank you so much for coming on with us and sharing your story.
We just got feisty. We're gonna have to come back.
You know what? You're so feisty.
People with information. Well, I want everyone to be armed with the actual mental and legal information of how to destroy the liberals.
Yes, I love it.
We'll have you back soon.
To know.
God bless you all.
God bless America. Hey business owners, this is Lindsey Graham, freedom fighter and entrepreneur. The last 2 years, the government has been forcing strict mandates and lockdowns on you and your business. Well, I have incredible news to share. There is now a tax credit specifically created for any business that had employees in 20 and 21, and you can get up to $26,000 per employee. It's time for you to reclaim the money the government took from you that's rightfully yours. Go to SheSoRightShow.com, shop page for a direct link to apply. Do not ignore this, friends. You are owed the money you lost during lockdowns.
Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate. Separate and segregate, don't celebrate quite yet. The storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate the values of our country. And our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight. Pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on the streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour, troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with lies and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, chosen just neglected, deflected by some breaking news. Oh, we just accept it, expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objectives, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, lying not a sheep, only kneel to my God. So I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheap. Drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting and then I'll pray for forgiveness.
Oh, one day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now. We need you now. Oh, we need you now. One day. I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.